Breaking news, NC State is expected to name Tennessee Associate Head Coach Justin Gainey as their new men's basketball coach. His ties to the program and a look at his coaching resume.
We're looking at highs in the 70s today, but we're only getting warmer. Wind temperatures will move into the 80s and how long the warm-up will last.
Rocky Mount rate hike. City leaders address a proposed utility rate increase in a meeting before residents. What we're learning about this proposal. There is a new man who will lead NC State's men's basketball coach. Good afternoon, and thanks for watching. I'm Laura Levine.
And I'm Chris Levingood. We're talking about multiple reports and WRAL sources saying that NC State is expected to hire former player and current Tennessee Associate Head Coach Justin Gainey. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is on that story right now on NC State's campus with reaction to this move less than a week after Will Wade left for LSU. What's the vibe there right now, Sean?
Well, Chris, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't still a little bit of lingering bitterness about that breakup from the Will Wade era, but a touch of sweetness today as fans here know that the university is going back to its roots with Gainey. Now, Justin Gainey is a High Point native and played high school ball in Greensboro before coming to NC State as a player from 96 to 2000. And for the last 3 years, he's been the associate head coach for the Tennessee Volunteers men's basketball team, helping the squad reach the Elite Eight in each of those 3 years. Now, it's something of the worst kept secret in college basketball after Gainey was a candidate to replace Kevin Keatts last year, and fans are ecstatic about the move to bring him back home.
If we have a coach that's committed to the Wolfpack and not committed to himself or another program, this is only inevitable. Go Pack.
But I'd rather have someone that cares about NC State, that wants to be in Raleigh, and isn't cheating on us with someone else.
And I have reached out to NC State for comment about all these reports and the sources that we have here. They have nothing to say at this moment, but say they will let us know if there is a meeting to announce anything in the near future. Now, nothing can be done until the Board of Trustees signs off on this as well. And currently, they don't have anything planned for a meeting in the near future. On NC State's campus, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
That man said, someone who's not cheating on us. Goodness. Okay, so you can actually track Justin Gainey's career on the WRAL YouTube channel. We'll have stories about his years as a player and assistant coach. You can also look for live reports beginning at 4 p.m.
Meanwhile, UNC has suspended discussions about the future of the Dean Dome. That's until the Tar Heels hire their next men's basketball coach. They also want to wait until that coach has had time to develop their program. That potentially pushes any decision on a basketball arena discussion into the future. Well, after some morning clouds, it ended up being a beautiful start to the week.
And you know, it's only really going to get even warmer after this point. Meteorologist Kat Campbell tracking a warm up and our next weather maker. Kat, the warmth is nice, but you're also tracking some much needed rain approaching.
Yes, the bad news about that is it could impact some of your spring break or Easter weekend plans. In the meantime, enjoy today. After some morning clouds, it's gorgeous out there. If you want to head out to the playground with the kids, not too hot, not too cold, a nice 75 degrees this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. We're sitting in the upper 60s in the Triangle already. 71 degrees in Fayetteville, 73 in Clinton, and 64, our coolest spot on the map in Roxborough. About 10 to 15 degrees warmer than we were at lunchtime yesterday, so it's definitely a step in the warmer direction. Our next weather maker is still a ways away. For now, we've got a south wind warming things up, and the bulk of the rain is up in Virginia. The next weather maker, though, is going to bring two big changes with it. First off, it warms us up. Temperatures climb back into the low to mid 80s, but a front to our north could spark a couple of showers and storms during the work week, during the afternoon. It's not likely to be a washout kind of situation, but by the end of the week, the cold front may actually arrive here, and that could have an impact on some of your Easter weekend plans. Coming up, I am tracking that cold front, and we'll take a closer look at those rain chances on Futurecast.
Okay, Kat, looking forward to that. Thank you. Happening tonight, customers have a chance to weigh in on rising power bills. The North Carolina Utilities Commission is holding a public hearing on a proposed rate increase from Duke Energy. WRAL's Liz McLaughlin explains the cost customers could pay and what to expect from tonight's meeting.
frustration growing over these rising energy bills and more increases on the horizon. Energy rates have gone up 22% since 2020, and now Duke Energy is proposing an 18% hike over the next 2 years. For the typical customer, that could mean $34 more on your energy bill by 2028. Now, Duke says that this is needed to maintain grid reliability and to have upgrades that can meet the growing population growth and industrial users such as data centers. But people are saying their bills are already too high. More than 71,000 signing a petition asking for an independent audit of Duke Energy's billing practices.
We've not forgotten about our customers. We understand that some customers are struggling, and we want to do what we can to help. A lot of what we're trying to do with the requests we're making and some of the tools that we have is actually helping to spread costs out over time, helping to avoid those spikes as much as we can.
Duke Energy did post record profits last year, bringing in nearly $5 billion in net income. Regulators will ultimately decide whether to approve this rate increase or not. But first, they want to hear from the public. There will be a hearing in person tonight at 7 p.m. in Raleigh and an opportunity to weigh in virtually Tuesday at 6:30. In Raleigh, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
And this morning, city leaders in Rocky Mount are addressing a proposed utility rate hike that residents are criticizing. Last week, people gathered outside City Hall to protest this. If approved, the rate hikes could be as high as 15% for some utilities. WRAL's Heidi Kirk is at that meeting right now and will break down what happened at the meeting.
So we're giving you a live look right now at RDU, where Terminal 1 this morning was evacuated just before 4:30 this morning after what's being reported as an anonymous threat. Hundreds of people were forced to gather outside before returning inside to long TSA lines. WRAL's Kirsten Clark spoke with travelers about the interruptions.
Just hours ago, here inside Terminal 1, the process to reach TSA wasn't this smooth. An evacuation kept travelers safe, and lengthy lines put them behind schedule. We met Stephanie Netchik and Rosalind Williams in the sea of confused flyers, wondering why they were outside instead of in the air.
They just said, try not to trample everybody and get out.
They just announced that we needed to get off, leave your bags, get off the plane.
What was that like for you?
Very scary.
This video from Sky 5 shows the large police response as officers investigated an anonymous threat.
When you wake up at 3, it's not great, but hopefully we just make it home. I feel bad for people with connecting flights.
After more than an hour, travelers were cleared to go back inside the terminal. At that point, both the regular TSA and TSA pre-check lines stretched down an escalator through the ground level hall.
I'm not allowed to say what I thought on TV, but it was pretty much a shock.
Nearly 2 hours later, both lines were cleared thanks to the work of TSA and airport staff. A sigh of relief for later travelers hoping they'd avoid the chaos. At RDU, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
Raleigh police are investigating a stabbing that sent a man to the hospital. The stabbing happened at around 11:30 last night on Idlewild Avenue. The WRAL breaking news tracker saw police blocking off that road as they investigated. Raleigh police tell us the man was stabbed in the stomach. He was taken to the hospital and he is expected to survive. Officers say the stabbing started as a domestic dispute. They also tell us they have a man in custody in connection to this stabbing. We're working to learn who that suspect is and what charges they could be facing. More county deputies are investigating a shooting in which 2 people were killed last night. The sheriff's office says the shooting happened around 9 p.m. on Gaines Street. That's just off NC Highway 5 between Aberdeen and Pinehurst. The WRAL breaking news tracker saw officers with canines searching the area. No word yet on any suspects or what may have led to this shooting.
North Carolina is the #1 state in the country for adding new residents. New census data shows no other state added more people from 2024 to 2025. And most of those new residents were more than 50,000 of them either moved to either Wake or Mecklenburg counties. Governor Josh Stein said the news actually proves that North Carolina is a great place to live. But he also warned that, quote, as we grow, we have to take care to invest in our infrastructure and our people. North Carolina is the only state without a new budget to fund things such as roads and infrastructure, but state lawmakers are expected to return to Raleigh next month.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, thieves made off with 3 paintings worth millions of euros from a private museum in northern Italy. That's one of the paintings that was stolen right there. Now, authorities there say this happened on March 22nd to March 23rd overnight. Authorities only reporting it on Sunday. And museum officials believe that this was organized theft rather than one particular person. They believe the paintings were stolen within under 3 minutes and the perpetrators escaped through the museum gardens.
Carly, thank you. The Wilson Warbirds hit a major milestone. Opening day against the Hill City Howlers has officially sold out. The team welcomed fans into the stadium this past weekend after the official ribbon-cutting ceremony. Opening day is April 14th, and while those tickets are gone, there are other great games in the opening homestand. Thursday, April 16th is Hard Hat Heroes Night. It's a tribute to all of the men and women who work in construction trades. The team will also host its first Friday night fireworks show on Friday, April 17th. The Warbirds moved to Wilson after the Carolina Mudcats left Zebulon.
Next at noon, settlement scrutiny. Bank of America agreed to pay tens of millions of dollars to survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking schemes. Now, a judge is giving it a second look. Next, why the bank has to pay up.
Plus, World Cup warning. The biggest event in sports is just a few months away. Up next, concern from a group warning of human rights emergency.
Also, rate hike pushback. Rocky Mount is considering raising utility rates to address a financial crisis, which is why at 12:30, you'll hear the concerns from people who don't want to foot the city's bill.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
President Trump says that he would like to take the oil in Iran and is considering seizing the export hub of Karg Island, which is responsible for more than 90% of Iran's oil exports. 3,500 more U.S. Marines and sailors arrived in the region aboard an amphibious assault ship this weekend. Thousands more American troops are heading to the Middle East. The Speaker of the Iranian parliament, who is one of the few senior surviving members of the Iranian regime, says his country would welcome a U.S. ground invasion. But the Trump administration continued to signal that they are working to negotiate with Iran to end the war.
And a group of Iranian Americans gathered outside the White House to speak for those silenced in Iran. Iranians in support of regime change thanked President Donald Trump. They marched with American, Israeli, and pre-revolution Iranian flags. This is the second time people have gathered at the White House to support the war. Leaders in Iran say they are prepared to face U.S. troops on the ground if necessary. The Latin Patriarch will now be allowed to hold services at Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reversed course after widespread backlash. Israeli police prevented senior leaders of the Catholic Church from entering the Jerusalem holy site to hold Palm Sunday Mass. Netanyahu said, quote, Iran has repeatedly targeted the holy sites. Other major religious sites remain closed to worshipers over public safety concerns.
A judge is reviewing a multi-million-dollar payout from Bank of America to victims harmed by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The nation's second-largest banking system says it will pay $72.5 million to survivors of Epstein's sex trafficking operations. Bank of America held accounts for Epstein, his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, and some victims, but denies any wrongdoing. The payout is smaller than a separate settlement reached by J.P. Morgan Chase in a similar case. The man who served as President Donald Trump's campaign manager in 2016 election and in that election is out at the Department of Homeland Security. Corey Lewandowski served as an unpaid advisor to former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Lewandowski started working as a political advisor to Noem when she was South Dakota's governor. President Trump fired Noem earlier this month. There's no word on future government roles for Lewandowski.
Amnesty International is sending a warning ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The organization says millions of fans headed to the tournament face significant human rights risks. The event kicks off in just over 10 weeks, in fact, with most of the matches set to happen in the United States. The human rights group says America is experiencing a, quote, human rights emergency, their words. They argue this is happening because of mass deportations, aggressive immigration enforcement, and restrictions on protests. The group is calling for FIFA to leverage its close relationship with the Trump administration.
What we need to see is clear public guarantees that there won't be any immigration enforcement, no presence of ICE around World Cup stadiums, venues, watch parties, gatherings, so that people feel safe from arbitrary arrest and deportation.
Amnesty International is also calling for protective measures for LGBTQ fans. The 2026 World Cup opens on June 11th in Mexico City, and WRAL is your source for all of that action.
It's been about 18 months now since Hurricane Helene, but the recovery continues in some areas of the state. In Henderson County, an important highway is now open to visitors, and business owners couldn't be happier. Highway 64 connects Hendersonville to Chimney Rock, Lake Lure, and Bat Cave. The road was heavily damaged by storms and by that storm, but since repairs has only been open to locals. For the past 18 months, visitors had to take a detour, which tacked on an extra hour to their commute. Local store owners say the road reopening is not only a big deal for travelers, but also business.
We're really excited about the road opening up. We think that it will help bring in business and more people to help support the locals.
The NCDOT expects to have all lanes of traffic open by Memorial Day. We're here now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with Kat Campbell. And Kat, the pollen has been unreal. And I know that we're expecting some rain to help wash it off a little bit.
Maybe by the end of the week.
Yeah.
That's the hope. We'll take any little bit that we can get to help with the pollen. Everything is still yellow out there, especially when you can see it pretty bad when you're near a lake or a stream. But the pollen count came in this morning high again, of course. Pine, oak, maple, sweet gum, and birch were the primary tree pollens out there today. Tree pollen usually starts to subside mid to late April is when it starts to get better, and then you've got grass pollen after that. So we've got to hope for a little bit of rain in the meantime. And over the next week, it's still not looking like a total washout kind of a rain, but we could pick up close to half an inch of rain. So that is good news if you do suffer from seasonal allergies and, of course, with the drought. I think rain chances start to climb a little bit toward the middle and end of the week. So we're going to start Futurecast on Wednesday. While this makes it look like it's going to rain a ton, in reality, these are really more likely to be isolated afternoon thunderstorms that pop up. Probably not a whole lot out there on Thursday, so Wednesday and Friday may end up being our best chance of a couple of afternoon storms, but I want to stress a couple. It doesn't look like a washout. Our next best chance of rainfall where almost the entire area could see it may end up coming Easter Sunday into that night. So just a heads up as you start to make your plans for the holiday, make sure that you're checking in for updates this week. So here is that rain approaching from the west. Right now, we've got about a 30% chance of a stray shower or storm Wednesday, a 40% chance on Friday, and just some tiny chances in between that. Easter Sunday actually looks warm and drier during the day right now. However, as we get into that night, that is when we may start to see a better chance for storms arrive in our area. Overall, though, doesn't look too bad. Hopefully the rain timing stays this way so you can get in your Easter outfits if you're going to a service that morning, and of course the Easter egg hunts, all important there as well. Back to t-shirts today. Temperatures are in the mid 70s out there. It's beautiful outside today. Partly cloudy skies. Come on out. Visit the WRAL Azalea Gardens. The azaleas are really starting to pop. I could see the flame azaleas. Those are the bright orange ones. As soon as I pulled into work this morning, they're right up here. You'll see the pink ones as you walk deeper into the gardens, but it's really starting to look good. That's great news. Upper 60s right now. Our wind out of the southwest around 20 miles per hour. A warm and windy start to your week. If you're coming out to the gardens, it's a great day for it. Temperatures are in the low to mid 70s throughout the afternoon with dry weather expected. Here's your 7-day forecast. Temperatures stay in the 80s once we make it past today. 82 for the high tomorrow. Tomorrow is also the home opener for the Durham Bulls. We'll have a closer look at that forecast coming up in the next half hour, and I can't wait to be out there tomorrow. Wednesday is even warmer. Wednesday is when we could see a stray storm develop, and we pretty much stay in the low to mid 80s for the entire 7-day forecast once we make it past today.
Going to hang out with your friend Wooly Bull when you're out there, huh, Kat? All right, thank you. All right, so coming up on our news this afternoon, we're talking about threat fallout. An anonymous threat to RDU shut down a terminal this morning. And so today at 4, we're going to dig deeper into what penalties a suspect could face.
Plus, tough conversations with children. A new UNC tool is helping parents share cancer news with their kids. Today at 5, a woman battling breast cancer shares how it helped her. And coming up next at noon, protein powder troubles. Experts tell us to eat more protein, but there could be issues with pre-mixed powders. Coming up, 5 on Your Side investigates.
Plus, costly coffee. Trump administration tariffs sent prices soaring. What other things producers say might keep those prices high?
You might be one of many people who frequently drinks coffee or uses powdered protein. But this morning and today, we're taking a closer look at what's actually in some of these products. 5 on Your Side's Keely Arthur explains what you should know.
New federal guidelines issued earlier this year say Americans should be eating way more protein. But before you head to the store to buy your next protein shake or protein powder, you should know about this Consumer Reports study. They tested dozens of protein powders and ready-to-drink shakes. More than 2/3 contain more lead in a single serving than what is safe for an entire day. And that matters because lead exposure has been linked to serious health risks.
Our previous protein powder investigation prompted a crazy wave of reactions and concerns from readers. One of the most common responses we got was questions from readers asking, what about all the other protein powders out there?
Coming up tonight on WRAL News at 6, I'm going to tell you about Consumer Reports' new expanded testing and tell you which protein powders they found had low levels of heavy metals. Keely Arthur, 5 on Your Side.
So Meta's next AI glasses are being designed with extra attention being paid to prescription lenses. So customers can already add a prescription to Meta Ray-Ban glasses, but upcoming models will come in rectangular and rounded styles. They'll be sold through traditional eyewear retailers, and Meta could unveil the new versions in the coming days.
2 major alcohol companies are talking about joining forces. Jameson Irish Whiskey and Absolute Vodka are in negotiations with Louisville-based Brown-Forman, the parent company of Jack Daniels. Both companies confirmed the talks and say that they are discussing a pair-up that would be a, quote, merger of equals. The possible merger aims to boost struggling sales because of lower alcohol demand in the U.S. and in China.
So for all you coffee lovers, sellers say the prices will likely remain high for the foreseeable future. A wide range of factors are contributing to the rising prices. This includes tariffs, extreme weather, and recently increased fuel and freight costs during the war in Iran. Last year, President Donald Trump put a 40% tariff on goods from Brazil, and that country produces more than, if you didn't know, 1/3 of the world's coffee. Even though the tariffs have been removed, many small roasters say that the effects are still lingering.
We have much more news ahead now. Utility price hike plan coming up. We're live in Rocky Mount with a breakdown of the plan and the cost difference.
Plus, AI red flags. The technology can speed up data-driven problem solving, but one visionary is expressing skepticism as the couple that he helped found prepares to mark a significant anniversary.
Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
We are staying on top of that breaking news from this morning. NC State is expected to hire former player Justin Gainey as its new men's basketball head coach.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in WRAL's Luis Fernandez. He's joining us a little bit more on this story. So 20 years of experience for Gainey, but he's never been a head coach at the collegiate level there, Luis.
Yeah, Chris, that's true, but he's got experience in just about every other aspect of the game. 20 years working as an assistant coach or an administrator, going from NC State as a player to Elon, App State, Marquette, Santa Clara, Arizona, back to Marquette, and then Tennessee for the past 5 years. Gainey has played a big role in Tennessee's defense and recruiting as its associate head coach. The Volunteers have made the Elite Eight in 3 straight seasons. Remember, he played 4 years for NC State under Herb Sendek in the late 90s. He was captain his senior year. He was first-team All-ACC tournament in 1997. And when he left NC State in 2000, Gainey ranked second in career starts, 4th in steals, and 9th in assists. Born in High Point, he went to school in Greensboro. His former boss, Tennessee head coach Rick Barnes, says this man is all about the Wolfpack.
Well, I hope he gets that job because I don't think there's anyone in the country that loves NC State more than Justin Gainey. If NC State knew what I knew, they would be begging him to be their next head coach.
That man knows a lot about basketball. That all aligns with what Boo Corrigan, NC State's AD, is looking for. Someone who wants to stay at NC State. Remember, the school has yet to announce anything officially. We'll keep you posted once that happens. Speaking of officially, one thing to keep an eye on, NC State fans, former head coach Will Wade will have his introductory press conference at LSU coming up in the next 30 minutes. We'll keep you updated with how that goes and what questions he faces right here on WRAL.
Okay, Lewis, thank you. And you can track Justin Gainey's career on the WRAL YouTube channel. We'll have stories about his years as a player and assistant coach. You can also look for live reports beginning at 4 p.m.
New at noon, Rocky Mount residents packed city council chambers to speak up about proposed utility rate increases. This is part of the city's plan to generate revenue and dig itself out of a financial crisis announced last year. WRAL's Heidi Kirk just stepped out of today's public hearing. She joins us live from Rocky Mount. Heidi, this is an issue that has caused a lot of frustration in that city.
Well, Chris, it really has people fired up. And in fact, we stepped out of that meeting that is now entering its third hour going on this morning. A lot of people have a lot to say about it. Now, I counted 20 people who stepped up to the podium today to make sure that their voices were heard. And they all kind of expressed the same thing, that they just simply cannot afford these rate hikes. Now, go ahead and take a look at your screens. You'll see some footage from that meeting that is, again, happening now. Now, today's public hearing is one of the last steps before the city council could vote to increase those rates. Now, the proposal would raise electric, sewer, and water by about 15% and natural gas by about 10%. Now, according to the city, it would add up to about $45 per household. Now, the people who live here, again, they feel like they're paying for the city's mistakes, which led to council having to make up for millions of dollars in overspending. You can hear what some of those people had to say up at the podium at today's meeting.
The Rocky Mounts are not just ratepayers. We are stakeholders in the financial future of the city.
Trust has been broken, and the faith in the elected officials have been misplaced.
A lot of those people addressed specific council members specifically up there in front of that entire room. Now, again, it's not clear exactly as to whether they will take a vote on this today, but it should be coming soon. We're going to step back inside of City Hall momentarily, and we'll have updates for you online and on TV tonight on WRAL. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Rocky Mount.
And happening tonight, customers also have a chance to weigh in on rising power bills. The North Carolina Utilities Commission is holding a public hearing on a proposed rate increase from Duke Energy. Rates have already grown about 22% since 2020, and now Duke is proposing another roughly 18% increase for residential customers over the next 2 years. Duke says the increase is tied to long-term investments like maintaining the grid and meeting growing demand across the state. But this increase could raise bills by about $20 to $30 per month on average by 2028. More than 71,000 people have signed a petition calling for an independent audit. So tonight's in-person hearing is at the Utilities Commission building. That's on North Salisbury Street in Raleigh at 7 p.m. There's also a virtual option tomorrow at 6:30 p.m.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, a rabid raccoon spotted in Raleigh. Animal control officers responded to the area of Western Boulevard and Pullen Park Road. When they got there around March 25th, they saw a raccoon that was showing signs of neurological distress. So they brought it back with them. They tested that raccoon, and it tested positive for rabies. Fortunately, no reported attacks, but you are reminded to call that number if you ever see any unusual behavior from animals.
That's good information to know. Thank you, Carly. Well, this week, Apple celebrates its 50th anniversary. And so the company is hosting special events around the world leading up to an invitation-only event at Apple Park Visitor Center. Madison Allworth explains the celebrations come at a time during one of Apple's co-founders while they're raising the red flag about AI.
From floppy disks to FaceTime, Apple is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. The tech giant kicked off celebrations with a performance by Grammy winner Alicia Keys at Grand Central Station in New York. Apple then taking the festivities worldwide with special events in China, Thailand, South Korea. The party makes its way back to Apple Park in Cupertino, California for the company's official anniversary, April 1st. But it all began back in 1976 with these two guys. Steve Jobs was the marketing genius behind propelling Apple Computer to its now $3.7 trillion valuation. Steve Wozniak was the engineering brain behind it all, inventing the company's first computers, Apple I and Apple II.
I just wanted something to be more human that you could really use, like a typewriter, and you could type in programs, and it was a useful computer at an affordable price.
But lately, Wozniak has been raising concerns about artificial intelligence, warning it may not yet deliver the reliability and human understanding that people expect.
I want to know someone human being like myself is thinking, knowing what I might feel, and, understanding emotions and all that.
Wozniak said the systems often fail to answer questions directly, instead offering broad or unrelated information that misses the user's true need.
I want such reliable content every time. I am not a fan of AI.
Wozniak suggests growing dependence on automated systems could change how people process information and solve problems.
Grab Starbucks near Terminal 2. Java Jet Fuel.
There's no slowing down of AI spending, though.
That was Madison Allworth reporting. And again, this is something that companies such as Meta and Amazon are dumping billions of dollars into in terms of data centers and other equipment needed to power their AI needs. All right, next at noon, IVF can be a long process full of trial and error. So coming up, how AI could make it more effective.
And pointing out plastics. Micro and nanoplastics are in so many things, but they're nearly impossible to spot. The new technology making it easier to see the hazards. And you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device. We'll be right back.
We're taking a peek outside right now at the downtown Cary Cam. It looks like there are plenty of people that are out there, someone running across the field, and maybe you're out there watching this right now on the WRAL News app. Wave up at the camera. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Podcasts are everywhere right now, but this one is coming from inside a North Carolina prison. At Columbus Correctional, inmates are creating their own podcasts, sharing their stories and life behind bars. It's part of a program teaching them how to write, record, and edit while building skills for the future.
We are the voiceless. Nobody knows what we think or how we move and how we want to impact the world, because we're American citizens too, and we want to contribute to society. Just give us the tools that we need.
The goal is to cut down repeat offenses and give these inmates a second chance.
All right, so still ahead in this half hour, we're talking about AI and IVF, the technology used for everything these days, it seems. Next, how it's helping families get pregnant.
And stop hitting snooze. It's advice from parents to their children and now from doctors to us all. The new research outlining health issues linked to hitting the snooze button. A company is offering a AI-powered fertility process, which includes a live birth guarantee, promising couples a baby or their money back. Listen to this. Studies emphasize that physicians play the central role in helping couples conceive through in vitro fertilization. In the world of fertility, AI is already being used for tasks like timing hormone injections, selecting embryos, calculating drug dosages, and sorting through massive amounts of data. Typically, couples pay for IVF services as they go, and that can range from the $20,000 to $60,000 or more.
First, you find out you have this problem that makes you sterile and not be able to have children naturally. And then you're like, okay, cool, the science exists to do it, but you're definitely going to pay for it. And the price tag is a shocker.
So along with IVF services, Gaia also offers treatment for postpartum health, adoption, menopause, and low testosterone.
Pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly has reached a multi-billion-dollar deal to bring drugs developed by AI to the global market. The deal with Hong Kong-based In Silico carries a price tag of nearly $3 billion. The two companies have been working together for the past 3 years on this. In Silico has already used generative AI tools to develop at least 28 drugs.
A team of scientists has come up with a new method to detect micro and nanoplastics. Microplastics are as small as the width of a red blood cell, and nanoplastics are even smaller and can only be seen with a powerful microscope. So a team in Florida developed a modified sensor that detects the presence of these environmental contaminants using just a drop of water. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the data to pop up on a smartphone. That data can then be quickly shared and used out in the field. The team is working on using the technology to detect other things such as PFAS.
So this Wednesday, 4 astronauts are scheduled to launch to a trip around the moon as part of NASA's Artemis II mission. And so we got an update from the crew, including NC State graduate Christina Cook. This will be a historic flight, as Cook is the first woman to travel beyond low Earth orbit and fly to the moon. She's the mission specialist. Basically, that means that she oversees big picture operations, and she knows how to get the team back on track if something goes wrong. On board, they'll study how space flight impacts the body, and they'll also analyze the far side of the moon that faces away from Earth. Cook said that she hopes this mission will help answer the big question, is there other life in space?
Answering that question starts at the moon. The moon is a witness plate to our entire solar system's formation. It's a stepping stone to Mars, where we might have the most likelihood of finding evidence of past life, but it's also a Rosetta Stone for how other solar systems form.
Artemis II is a 10-day mission to travel around the moon, and it's expected again to launch this Wednesday. If conditions are not perfect for launch, they'll have to delay. And I know that this is something you have a live interview scheduled tomorrow with NASA Ambassador Tony Rice. Am I mistaken, Kat?
No, I am so excited about this. Tony Rice is there. He's going to be live in person,
Very cool.
Giving us live reports from the launch. So he'll have the inside scoop. And I've got to tell you, the forecast for launch looks pretty good on Wednesday. The 45th Weather Squadron is in charge of this official forecast for the launch, and they're giving the odds about an 80% chance of launching. The only thing at this point that would be an issue would just be some cumulus clouds, so we'll keep an eye on that. Mid-70s, breezy, just partly cloudy. The launch window is between 6:24 and 8:24 p.m. on Wednesday, so check in on our evening news. We will keep you up to date. So excited about this historic mission. Well, here at WRAL, we're also excited about the azaleas. They are really starting to pop out now. Come on out to the WRAL Azalea Gardens tomorrow. It's going to be a perfect day for it. 74 degrees if you want to pack a picnic, and come on out tomorrow at lunchtime. 82 by 4 o'clock. Beautiful outside. We've also got the Durham Bulls home opener tomorrow, and they'll be treated to some great weather. First pitch is at 6:35. 76 degrees. Come on out. Go Bulls. We're excited for the season. It's all back to spring warmth thanks to the jet stream staying to our north, high pressure building in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That line between the warmer and cooler air, the jet stream in the upper levels of the atmosphere, stays well to our north. And because of that, we don't have any big systems coming our way, at least through the work week. High temperatures are also able to warm up. We're in the low to mid 80s each and every day this week. Great news for spring breakers. Take a live look at Beaufort. Beautiful outside. The water just looks stunning. That's a live look there at the Beaufort Hotel. And if you are traveling to the beach this week, tomorrow, high temperatures are in the low to mid 70s, partly cloudy and dry. Wednesday, highs reach the mid 70s in some spots. It really should be nice out there. The southern beaches just have a 20% chance of a stray storm on Wednesday. For us, we've got some small rain chances to talk about this week. I really don't think any of the rain's going to make its way here tomorrow. Most of that would be confined to the North Carolina mountains and the foothills. Wednesday, maybe an isolated storm. This is 5 o'clock. You can see 1, 2, 3 storms. Not everybody's going to see rain during the work week. I just want to stress this is a fairly low rain chance. It would be just very spotty Wednesday. Thursday also looks like one of the drier days. Friday may bring another chance for a few of those showers and thunderstorms. So here's a preview of Easter weekend. Friday, we've got the chance for a few of those storms. It stays warm through Easter weekend, even Easter Sunday, 81 degrees, maybe drier to start, but Easter night is what's looking like our best chance for rain over the next 7 days. So that's a very early heads up, but I know it's a holiday. I know it's a busy travel day, so we kind of want to get you ahead of the game there, and then you can stay tuned in for updates throughout the week. If you are traveling, don't forget to bring your WRAL weather app with you. It will work no matter where you are as long as you've got your location settings turned on. Today, it's the coolest day of the week. Temperatures just keep going up from here. The best part about these 80s is that the humidity isn't going to be all that bad this week. Chris and Laura?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you, Kat. Coming up next now, a rose-colored sky. Look at the scene here in Australia. It's like the world had a red filter on. Up next, the cause behind this unusual sight. All right, as we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today.
So there is a familiar face that will lead the Wolfpack. Multiple reports and WRAL sources say NC State is expected to hire former player and current Tennessee associate head coach Justin Gainey to lead the men's basketball team. Still kind of some bitterness lingering there after Will Wade's departure, but now State fans can get excited about Gainey's homecoming. We're still awaiting official word from NC State confirming the coaching hire, but you can count on WRAL to bring you updates on air and online.
Happening tonight, customers have a chance to weigh in on rising power bills. The North Carolina Utilities Commission is holding a public hearing on a proposed rate increase from Duke. Duke is proposing another roughly 18% increase for residential customers over the next 2 years. More than 71,000 people have signed a petition calling for an independent audit. Tonight's in-person hearing is at the Utilities Commission building downtown at 7 p.m.
Rocky Mount residents packing city council chambers to speak up about proposed utility rate increases. It's part of the city's plan to generate revenue and dig itself out of a financial crisis, raising electric, sewer, and water and natural gas. People who spoke say they can't afford this. Today's public hearing is one of the last steps before the city council could vote to increase utilities. We're going to bring you updates from inside that meeting and when the vote is expected to happen.
Western Australia residents witnessed a red sky that you would think is straight out of an apocalyptic movie. The sky glowed bright red at the Shark Bay Caravan Park and drew out curious people to gaze at the dazzling display. The color change took place as dust filled the air ahead of tropical cyclone WRAL. The soil in Australia is iron rich and undergoes a weathering process of oxidation, which gives the dirt its reddish Mars-like hue. Pretty scary looking. I don't know.
Pretty sure that some kind of horror film starts just like this.
Yeah.
I ain't going outside to see that. I'm going to stay inside and lock the door. So more than half of Americans say they hit the snooze button in the morning. Research shows that it could actually disrupt your sleep in the wrong one. A sleep therapist says that the most restorative sleep happens in the early mornings.
Sleep scientists and physicians will criticize snoozing because you're decreasing the amount of rapid eye movement or REM sleep that you're going to be getting.
And one sleep expert says that REM sleep, also called dream sleep, is crucial for brain health, memory, and processing emotions.
It's funny to assume that we get sleep on this show.
I know, right? We work the AM shift.
We press snooze and get up. You know, there's no pressing snooze, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Get up, go.
Get moving, yeah. Well, coming up on our News at 4 now, NC State is expected to bring an alum back to lead its basketball program. We get insight into why Justin Gainey is the pick for the Wolfpack. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your local news update coming in 30 minutes now.
And just a reminder, you can always get your breaking news update anytime with our WRAL News app and stay up to date with your latest weather reports with the WRAL Weather app. Hope you have a blessed day today.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.